Now we're on the Giza Plateau, and we're here today with Muhammad Ibrahim, and we're looking over at the Sphinx. And so many people wonder about the Sphinx and the great mysteries of it. And they've said, well, where could it have come from? Is it a jackal? Is it Anubis? Where do all its strange formations come from? What do you think, Muhammad?
Yes, you're right. We have two major stories about the original shape of the Sphinx. The first story saying that the Sphinx was a complete lion or lioness, and the second story saying it was complete jackal, Anubis. I agree with the first story that the Sphinx was originally a complete lioness, and it could be called Tefnut. We have Tifnut or Mahid. Both of them are lionesses. Because if this was Anubis, the jackal, we are missing some important information here. Okay, Anubis, one of his titles, it says the one who is above his mountain. You know, when the wolf go above a higher ground and make the sound in the middle of the night. So the same Anubis, the jackal, always located above hills, above mountains. But this is the lowest level of Giza Plateau. The second thing, Anubis is the leader of to the gates of the afterlife. So when someone died, his spirit will be led by Anubis to the afterlife. And the afterlife from the Egyptian conception is west. So Anubis must face western side, but the Sphinx is facing east. Okay, so what is the story of the first opinion? That the ancient Egyptians, when they were talking about Tefnut and her brother Shu, they called them Daruti. Daruti are two sphinxes, the same like this shape exactly. Okay, that's why some people will tell you, okay, where is the second sphinx? We have one, so maybe in this location we can have the second, or maybe that location there. But there it is the bedrock, as you can see, so there is no chances that there is something even buried under sand. And also in this area, the opposite, we don't have any. So where is the second sphinx? The second sphinx is Leo at the sky. That's why when Robert Bouval and Robert Schoch put this story, they found that in 12,000 BC, it was the Sphinx was exactly facing Leo on the eastern sky. Okay.
So what's also interesting about that, Muhammad, that you bring up the Sekhmet Tefnut story with the lioness that we connect over to Leo, the Lion King, is that all of our ancient religions that were seated on this planet. If you go into Persia with Mithraism, it has Zorvan, this leonocephalic lion-headed god. You have this Leo symbolism again and again throughout all of the mysteries, telling us that this is very, very ancient. So with that being said, when we look how ancient it is, and we start to decode the symbolism of how many times this head has changed.
Okay.
You told me something very interesting.
Look,
You said,
at least one time. It could be many times, but at least one time. And why we... Okay, go ahead.
okay, I was going to say, you told me something very interesting, because you said it's changed at least one time. And we know that from looking at it, but look, you said look under the ears. You said notice the holes that we see under the ears, and you connected it to a very interesting Egyptian ruler. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, if you look under the ear... Why it doesn't? Can you see this carving under the ear? So we believe that the Sphinx one day has a beard. But that beard cannot be stable, because the whole head of the Sphinx was recarved from a lioness head to a human head. So the beard was weak pointed. So they had to put a fake beard and tied with like a huge piece of cloth maybe, or leather maybe, we are not sure what was the material, and stabbed to the two checks under the ear. We found this fallen beard, and it is exhibited in 3 museums now. Very strange. Most of it in the Egyptian Museum, one part in the Louvre Museum in France, and the third part in the British Museum.
That's Tutmosis the Fourth.
That is Tutmosis IV when that was done, because here in the middle, that granite block, we call it the Dream Stealer, he wrote a very interesting story that one day he was hunting here in the area, and he was tired, so he slept next to the Sphinx. At the time, the Sphinx was covered completely with sand, not completely till the body, all the body. So the Sphinx came to him in the dream and told him, if you clean the sand from around my body, I will help you to become the ruler of Egypt. Of course, we believe that the story is fake, but he used the power and the influence of the Sphinx to become the ruler. And he was supported by the priest, okay, in this story. But that will lead us to another fact, that the Sphinx was renovated from the dynastic time. So why we know that the head was recarved? Because if you look to the condition of the body, is not in a good shape like the head. The stones and the erosions on the head are much better than the body, which is supposed to be the opposite, because the body was always covered with sand, so it must be protected more than the head, right?
Yes.
But we see that the body was restored many times from the Old Kingdom time and from the New Kingdom time and during the Greco-Roman time, and the latest restoration happened in 1999 to the bows, and the head is still in the same shape, in
But
a better quality.
Here's another piece of the story. This is just like in the movie Aladdin that people have seen, where he goes into the place out in the desert that has this lion head that he enters, and this is where he is rewarded with all these incredible gifts. But can we get a conspiracy out of the way for everybody watching out at home? We have this conspiracy that when Napoleon came to Egypt in 1798, he discovered this, and up into the 1800s, it was covered in sand all the way up to the head. So when he came there, some people say that there's a great cover-up to cover up the ethnic identity of the Egyptians. So Napoleon supposedly shot the nose off the Sphinx. But we know that there's another story that we link to who was responsible for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. We know for sure that the head was already lost before Napoleon came to Egypt, and we are guessing it is from the 12th century. And Napoleon came in the beginning of the or end of the 18th century.
Yes.
Right? Right. So we think that the Sphinx was completely covered with sand, even the head, and in a very windy night, like what we had 3 days ago, the wind was very strong. It was like 70, from 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. Very strong wind. So we think that the wind moved the sand from the head, and the head was exposed to the people here at that village. So people started to be frightened, or maybe they started to think that this is one of the ancient gods. Okay, you know, education wasn't very good at the time, so they started to pay offering to the place, and some people claimed themselves the priests of the Sphinx. So one of the people, one of the neighbors, called Sufi called Muhammad Sa'im al-Dah, but we still are not sure about the name and the title. They say he came and climbed to the neck, and he destroyed the nose to show to his neighbors that the Sphinx is powerless.
That's right. Just like the old saying, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. It comes from that idea that you would displace it on a liar.
Exactly. So now we come to the geological story. Those are the erosions I'm talking about. Can you see the cuts? All the way, can you see everywhere? Okay, all the way this way also. Come closer. So the cuts here cannot be done by our regular rain, which is almost no rain in Egypt. Yes, we had a case 3 or 4 days ago, severe rain for 12 hours. But in my lifetime, I didn't witness a case like this. This is my first case. Okay, I'm almost 43 years old now, and I didn't witness any rain like this before. So that is unusual case, exceptions. So we cannot use it as an excuse to explain this. So according to geology, according to nature, this must happen in the previous season, 9,700 BC. That's why we start to date the Sphinx to be before 9,700 BC. And according to my part of the story now, that the Sphinx could be already destroyed and the pyramids already destroyed during that time. So it could be an earlier disaster happened, and the erosions from the flood affected the inner layers, not the external layers.
Let me ask you a question that's out there. If we look at this being aligned with Leo, the constellation of Leo, and we know that there's been others like Robert Paval that have calculated that and gone back to certain periods when Leo was in alignment, how old do you think we're looking here when this was built during that alignment? How far could we go back?
Look, because this alignment can happen many times. It
Yes.
is not just way, it can happen in circles.
Yes.
So if we say that the last alignment was 12,000 BC,
Yes.
so the one before could be 24,000 BC, and the one before could be to 36,000, and the one before 48,000. So you can keep doing like this. So it could be again like 80,000 BC.
80,000 BC.
Yes.
I like it.
Okay.